Thanks for watching this replay of Award Travel 101 Live. I'm Richard Kerr, your founder. Look, it's my better half. Or I guess maybe about a third, not really half. Hey, we got a different topic we're going to do tonight, and I am excited about it. Emily was actually with me on my very first Facebook Live. I guess that was back Christmas time when we did it. And people really liked it, and people always have questions about what it's like to be a spouse of somebody crazy like me. So we're going to talk about that for 30 minutes tonight. You're going to have a chance to ask Emily anything you want to know about. Well, not anything you want to know, but anything you want to know about points and miles. Hey, Tony is in the background moderating as always. Like I always say, they have the harder job. She's going to let me know when this is shared into the group so that everybody can take a look at it. And she says we're ready to go. So a few things I do every time in Award Travel 101 Live, and just because Emily's here, we're going to do a little bit different. No bourbon tonight. Emily and I have... Emily, what are we drinking?
It's a boxed wine Malbec from a Walgreens store.
Yeah, well, so that's actually a good point why it's boxed and from Walgreens. So we're not where we used to be anymore. We are in the basement of my parents' house in South Carolina because... If you can't tell by my beard anymore, I am no longer in the Navy. So this is our first week without a government paycheck, I guess is the way. So thanks for still being married to me. I appreciate that. The Walgreens is what I found close by for us to have a glass of Malbec
and
tonight.
Easy to please.
Yeah, okay. And a few things I always tell you about. So no whiskey tonight. We're doing Malbec. A lot going on in the group. Look, I'm full-time. You guys are our livelihood. This is what we're dedicated to. My parents happen to have this really cool map behind me here, which I thought was, it's not cliche, is it?
It's nice. It's a nice map.
It's nice. So, a lot of events coming up. Hey, look, I'm going to be going crazy in the group. We're going to be talking a lot of points and miles. As you're tuning in, please tell us where you're coming in from. We like to know the reach that Award Travel 101 has. If you have questions already that you want to ask Emily, I've got Tony here on my moderator dock. I'm not going to miss any of your questions. I'll be able to keep up with them. But I want you to know Chicago in October starts off all of our events, very busy month. So October 20th through the 22nd are the 8th Chicago seminars. This is the biggest gathering of points and miles, nerds, and geeks throughout the year. And I'm going to be there presenting a couple times. Emily, are you coming?
I don't know yet.
Not this one, but she's coming to the next event in November. We do have the two small babies. So the 20th through the 22nd, we're going to see you. Chicago Seminars, Award Travel 101's own Howard Rappaport leads that up. If you need tickets, Tony is going to put the links in the comments right now for you to find all the information. I come home for one day, and then I leave again to go to CardCon and FinCon in Dallas. This is the premier con now, like everybody has, of financial institutions, financial periodicals, what's the latest trends going on in the personal finance and credit card industry. And I'll be heading a panel there on Friday with Summer from Mommy Points and Gary Leff from View from the Wing. So I'm excited about doing that. And then we have November 3rd. I just announced yesterday our tickets are on sale for the New York City event on November 3rd. Please get your ticket now. Again, Tony's putting the links up for all this. I'm looking at Reston, Virginia, Houston, Texas, Jersey, Maryland. I just left the D.C. area. Emily, are you glad to be out of the D.C. area? Yeah, that was just not our cup of tea, I guess you should say. The traffic, it's amazing. Driving around South Carolina, nobody lives here compared to where we lived. You can get anywhere you want in 10 minutes.
No one's here.
It's fantastic. So after November 3rd, on November the 18th, we have the Frequent Traveler University Expo. We're going to have the Award Travel 101 Lounge. I think Emily might be coming to that one.
Keep that in mind, parents. You'll be watching the kids.
Oh, yeah, Emily's parents are here. Thanks, parents, for watching the kids. And then after that, really excited about San Francisco and Palo Alto. We're going to go tour Facebook on December 1st and on December 2nd. We're going to have an Award Travel 101 encounter is what we're calling it. The very next day in the Palo Alto area. I haven't found somewhere to host that for us yet, but stay tuned. So a lot going on. Right after that, we've got our luggage tags on sale now. Tony's going to put up where you can get those. My dream is to see an Award Travel 101 luggage tag in an airport, in a lounge, and hear two people start talking points and miles because they see the luggage tag, and then I stand up and click my heels and walk out the door knowing mission accomplished. We're talking points and miles because of this Facebook group. Pinned post is where you want to go if you're new to the group. If you don't have any idea who I am or who Emily is, if you want to know how we operate the community, head to the pinned post. Tony's going to put the link in the comments. It tells you group rules, beginner's guide information, frequently asked questions, so you don't have to go and ask the same thing in the group. And then last but not least, you can always support the group and now our full-time endeavor by choosing to get your next rewards earning credit card through the links in the pinned posts. You use the links, you get the sign-up bonus. I get paid a commission if you're approved. Appreciate the support. As always, take care of that credit score and personal finance, which Emily and I are going to talk a lot about tonight. So, now's your chance. You know how crazy I am. You hear from Emily every now and again. Start throwing the questions up there. What do you want Emily to talk about tonight? What do you want her to know? I have a few intro questions I'm going to ask her. Tony's going to take them down. I have my little moderating document here, so I'm not going to miss any of your questions. But I'll tell you a little bit about Emily, and then it'll be her turn to tell a little bit about me. So, Emily, we met when you were in the 6th grade and I was in the 7th grade. This is a true story.
We didn't really meet. We just knew each other. We went to the same middle school.
We did. She was dating a guy on my bus who carried a tuba. I liked Emily way before she ever liked me. I went off to England for high school for 2 years. I wrote her sweet postcards while I was learning to travel the world and brought her back really cheesy presents that an awkward high school kid does. She wanted nothing to do with me. We started dating my senior year of high school. I went off to college with her a few years, and people we don't talk about in between there.
I took my very first flight ever in my whole life with Richard from Atlanta to Manchester. So our first trip together was actually my first flight of my life when I was 17.
Yep. Family was still back in the UK. I wanted to show her where I went to high school, and she took off. Her parents, for some reason, let her go over the Atlantic with another high school boy. We were very good, and I remember that first flight with Emily really well. So that's how we met. I went into the Navy, and then I came back from basic training and thought I better lock this down now before I take off and somebody else scoops this Georgia Belle up. So I did propose. We got married after I finished basic training before my first duty station, and then we took off around the world. For those of you who've been following for a few years, we started off in Washington State after Connecticut, where Emily thought the training was so boring and the area so bad that she ditched me and went home.
And we were married, and I left and went to my parents' house. I was I don't want to be here anymore.
I don't want to be in Connecticut anymore while you do this. I'm going to go, and you let me know when you move. So then we moved to the Seattle area for 3 years. Ditched her this time when I went on a few deployments, and then we went over to Japan for 3 years, where this entire points and miles thing really started to blossom. And then we moved back to the DC area for about a year and a half, and now we are homeless and going and making up with a lot of lost time that we've had with grandparents and family and friends, and pursuing our passions. My calendar's filling up, doing all of these great things. So really interesting background. So Emily, what is the first time you remember me talking about points and miles?
The first time was probably in June of 2012, when we lived in Seattle. Is when I remember that.
Do you remember, I remember our first trip, but do you remember, I remember because it's how I started, but the first time I started talking about this and some thoughts that went through your head when I said, hey, we need to apply for 5 different credit cards.
Yeah, so I didn't have a single credit card. Me and Richard used our debit card for everything. So I remember when he first started talking, hey, we need to sign up for all these credit cards. We're going to go on these trips. I was thinking, no, I don't want to go into debt. I don't want to have all these credit cards. It sounded too overwhelming. So I was very overwhelmed and very skeptical.
Yeah. Personal finance has always been a really big deal to both of us. It's actually a passion of Emily's. She volunteered on all the bases we lived at an organization that helped young sailors and Marines in trouble with their finances. So pretty skeptical when I said, hey, let's do a first round of applications. But I guess having that trust that I took it as serious as you did, you knew that I wasn't going to mess anything up.
Right, yeah. I think so, for sure. And we kind of did it together that first time. I applied for, I think it was a Delta card, and you applied for that same Delta card, and right? Yeah. We just kind of did that. We waited and saw, and we checked our credit score, and it was better. And I mean, this is a very, very short, quick version of that. But I think we started kind of small at first, and once we saw the benefits, then I was a lot more okay. Like this could work. It's not as scary as I had thought.
Yeah. Somebody asked a question, and I'll jump into it now.
Yeah, I saw the single parent. Do I ever feel like a single parent?
Oh, did somebody ask that?
Yeah, it was at the top. Do I ever feel like a single parent? How do we communicate? So, yes, I do feel like a single parent sometimes. Sometimes taking care of a baby and a toddler
Oh,
is
I know.
very, very hard. But that also has a little bit to do with we've always lived away from our parents. So, I think that even if you had been around all the time, it's just lonely without, parents, your grandparents helping or having regular babysitters. So, but we've never had any issues communicating uh, over Wi-Fi or anything like that. So,
Yeah. One of the big reasons we decided to get out of the Navy was we were tired of being away from family, of not having that extra hand, especially in my chosen profession. Any leave and off time I was getting from the Navy, it was spent traveling instead of, being at home with Emily and the kids, even though my last few jobs I was home every day, so to speak. But we decided that if I was going to take this even more serious to the next point, that we needed grandparents around, aunts and uncles, so that I didn't put all of that burden on Emily. And then if you have followed the group, you see that we try and travel as a family as much as possible. So if you're
mm-hmm.
taking a Southwest flight, me and Emily and the two kids, you're going to be in the back row. It's the curse seats, we call it, of the Southwest flight, just to get the kids away from everybody as much as we can.
Yeah.
And we always know it's going to be open. So um,
Yeah.
I have no doubt it's tough on Emily, and it's going to be tough even this month when I take off. But that's why we now have grandparents. Thank Mr. and Mrs. Allen for watching the kids, so Emily can come with me on a few of these trips.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell the gentleman out there, if you think that is going to give you a little bit more freedom, that you can just take off and sell it as, hey, I'm not going to have to pay for this. It's free. It's not going to see a dent in our finances. I'm going to get out of here. You don't. You're doing that wrong, fellas. Like, you need to make this a family event. You need to make this, hey, the companion pass so Thomas can come with me, right? You guys have seen Thomas and I go on weekend trips so that Emily only has to watch one of the kids, or we divide it up. So, gentlemen and ladies, if you're trying to get, you got to sell it that right way. You got to be smart about what you're telling the missus, that you're not just going to disappear and take off.
Mm-hmm. I see another question. Do you do any of the tracking of the award points? No, I don't. I know like the award wallet password and that kind of thing, but I don't do any of the tracking. So I'll leave that all up to Richard.
But you do our daily finances.
I do the daily finances. So even though we travel per se on all points and miles, there's still a lot of out-of-pocket expenses that come. Massages, meals, Uber rides, extra things for the kids if we take the kids along. So we do have a travel budget that I maintain, and along with all of our other like daily finance stuff. So Richard keeps all like the points and miles stuff straight, and I take the lead on our personal finance budget, and then we work together to like do the credit, pay the credit cards or work on our budget or our goals together.
Yeah, it sounds cliche, and I actually told Emily before we started, hey, stay away from the cliche answers and let's make this interesting. But the more you can get the other person involved, the more you can say. And Emily was good about this on me. I was trying to do everything, and she said, "Look, let me take over the daily finance tracking, so that she knows exactly what's going on. She learns more about the credit cards and the perks, about, hey, why am I using this card and that card? As much as you can get that other person a piece of it, you've got to have, especially if there's any hesitation. The best thing is on our USAA login on the right side. Every day Emily logs in and has my credit score right there, and she can see the more cards I get, the more points we get. Hey, that credit score still stays the same, and it's still perfectly good and fine. So that gives her the reassurance that what I'm doing is not affecting us in a negative way. Just that simple login that she sees every day, and that I see too, frankly, to get the reassurance of, hey, what we're doing is okay.
There's another question. My boyfriend is a shy person and is nervous about manufactured spending. I'm trying to warm him up to it. What's the best way?
Is that minimum spend or manufactured spending?
Oh,
You need to clarify that. We can answer one, but not the other. So,
what's the next question?
do you, on that line though, a lot of people do fulfillment by Amazon. You go out and you buy things to resell through Amazon, and that makes you a whole bunch of points, or it makes it really easy to do minimum spend. So I've done that a few times, and I've said, hey, I'm going to buy $10,000 of Nintendo Switches or whatever. Do you remember your reaction when I said, hey, I'm going to spend this much money, it's going to be okay?
Yeah, I don't. So I am much more risk averse. I'm a planner. I am an anxious person by nature. So just Richard really has to very clearly communicate a lot of things, maybe more so than I would have to communicate to him. So you just really have to know your partner, your significant other, and how their brain operates. And Richard knows that if he does something that sounds really crazy like that, he's really going to have to really explain it, really make me feel comfortable, or it's going to make me feel anxious or unorganized or something.
Yeah. Allie was asking about manufacturer spending, and here's what I'll say. As the group has grown, as we've seen how quickly things change, I've got more messages of people getting themselves in trouble because they do not understand what they're doing. It's something that I stopped talking about in Ward Travel 1 a while ago because I was getting some messages of people who had gotten themselves in legitimate financial trouble because they didn't understand what they were doing and the risks that they were taking. So I will just give everybody a blanket word of caution that manufactured spending should not be in your vocabulary if you have a hesitant spouse until you're at least a few years into this and you understand that you're risking your relationship with the banks and everything that you do. So there's my blanket word of caution. To you, Allie, I hope that answers. I hope that helps. But remember, this is a marathon, not a sprint. You don't want to ramp right up here and start talking about doing all those crazy things right off the beginning. If you got a shy guy, start with your first trip. Hey, we're going to go to Grand Cayman on Southwest for free, $5.60. We're going to stay at the Marriott at 7 Mile Beach. Get the points for that, make it happen, make them feel comfortable. So that's what I'll tell you. But when I start talking about Amazon by fulfillment and Emily sees these credit cards with huge balances on them, it took a long time, and it still makes her go, But hey, I've been in it for years. I know what I'm doing. I'm confident I'm going to be able to pay those balances off every month. But you're talking 301, 401 stuff rather than 101 if you have a hesitant spouse. So don't jump into anything crazy quite like that. Any questions on the side? Juliana. Hey, Juliana. Good to see you. Hey, she wants us to come to Oklahoma and do the who's the cooking show? Who's the cooking show out in Oklahoma? The lady.
Oh,
Frontier
the Pioneer Woman?
Pioneer Woman, yeah. She wants to go to Pioneer Woman. Hey, Juliana says, Emily, do you ever draw the line on places you travel, like places she feels are unsafe? Do you ever disagree on that?
So again, I
I don't know
am
the
a
answer to
really
this.
anxious person. So and I don't even have an example off the top of my head where I have been concerned, is that place safe? Is that place, so yes, Richard has to maybe give me a lot more reassurance. He has to sometimes pull up literal facts about certain places that he wants to go or that he's thinking about in order to make me feel comfortable.
The trip in next week, right? So I'm going to
Yes.
South Africa to take the first commercial flight from South Africa to St. Helena Island on the airport that they couldn't open for 10 or 20 years because of wind shear factors. And when I put that up in the group, some people commented about, oh, they finally got it certified.
Yeah, so this is me the next morning. Okay, Richard, this is over coffee. People are not wanting you to take this flight. What's going on? Is this a safe thing to do? Where are you going? So yes, those are like legitimate, things that I think about. But that's my personality in general. So Richard knows that, he has to kind of help walk me through other situations like this kind of frequently, not just about travel.
Yeah, I would love to hear some stories from people where, I'm super relaxed the majority of the time, and Emily's
This is me.
just high spun and a little bit anxious. So it would be interesting if I was the other way around, where I was the anxious person trying excuse me, to do points and miles, and
And I was like,
you were the relaxed person, like, oh, whatever.
yeah, like I don't even know if that would even like I don't know. Someone asked about a 520. I don't know how.
Oh, Diana. Hey, Diana. One of our regulars. She says, does being an authorized user put you over 524? I have a friend with bad credit, but his wife has good credit. Advice, please. So 524, it does not take into account authorized users. They do show on your credit report, so when you apply, Chase can deny you and say that you're over 524. If you know that you're below it, you need to go call Chase and say, hey, do not consider the authorized users on my account or on my significant other's account, and please, approve their card. There's not too many applications or credit lines open in the last 24 months. So you have a friend with bad credit, but his wife has good credit. Advice: rely on the other person's credit until you can build up that good credit. I assume that the person with bad credit has become an authorized user on the person with good credit's card so that they can kind of feed off of that credit score. You got to continue doing that and just being patient. So take out what cards you can, make small purchases every month, immediately pay it off. Don't get that credit utilization too high, and then continue being an authorized user on the person with good credit scores accounts that you can feed off of that, and just spend 6 or 9 months really building that credit score. If there's one message Emily and I absolutely have always agreed on every day, is that your personal finance is one of the most important things you protect, if not the most important, and that none of this should ever put your credit score, being in debt, getting out of debt at risk. So I get a question once a week about, I have $15,000 in credit card debt. What card should I get next? And it's like, nope, shouldn't even be on your radar. Live your monthly expenses, and in our opinion, put every bit of extra income you have towards getting rid of that credit card debt at 20, 24, who knows what crazy interest rate. Now, that's just our extreme view on it. We don't like debt. We don't like people to consider rewards until they're out of debt and all that good stuff.
A fellow named Bob Kerr asks, has Richard always been such a nice guy?
Hey, Dad. Yes, of course I have.
Of course, yes.
All right, so 30 questions up. We got about 8 more minutes with Emily.
Okay. Someone said, this is funny, have either of you caused another to miss a flight? No.
We've never...
No.
Have we ever missed a flight?
No. Not like missed it, like running to the plane and it leaves. No.
I don't think we've ever missed a flight.
No.
Period. No. Knock on... I don't have any... It's a glass table,
knock
so...
On wood, no.
Knock on wood,
Never
yeah.
miss a flight.
No. Somebody has a question, but with this program, I can't quite read it yet at the bottom. So, 8 more minutes. Ask Emily. I'm surprised nobody's asked any embarrassing facts about me. I have an embarrassing story about Emily.
I thought this was supposed to be me sharing all the good...
It's the good story. So, our very first trip was from Seattle to Hawaii for Emily's birthday, and then from Hawaii to Seoul via Tokyo, and after spending a week in Seoul, we flew Lufthansa first class to Frankfurt, and Lufthansa first class from Frankfurt to Seattle. It was a great trip. I got really sick in Frankfurt. We were in the emergency room, etc., etc. But from that moment where we did that first trip right, and this is also a word of caution, Emily was hooked on the good life. Emily gets in a plane, she goes left, right? We don't go right unless it's Southwest. Emily goes left. So living in Japan, sweet Emily gets a little...
I have a baby, a little baby.
Sweet Emily gets a little spoiled. I'm back in Japan, and Emily's coming with our son Thomas. And there's just no availability in business class to Tokyo. And with the baby, you're not going to make 20 connections to make something work or position. So to this day, I still have the Facebook Messenger screenshot where there was only a standard award available with United, which was like 150,000 points or miles. And I said, look, I'm sorry, there's no availability. It's going to be 150,000 miles. And Emily says, please, I'll do anything. I immediately screenshot that. I did put her in business class with Thomas. I think you spent the flight throwing up.
Yes,
the whole
I
time.
did. So that was, the universe's way of saying, I knew I was going to get sick. So they were protecting me, helping me with that business class flight, a little extra room, a little more comfort.
So to this day, I look at Emily often and say, please, I'll do anything. Yeah. From the time where she had to fly.
And as soon as he said he had a story about me, I knew this was going to be the story.
So, hey fellas, be careful now. Don't get your significant other, women too, don't get the guys too used to being up front all the time. We got to bring them back to reality. So Don't do like I did and throw her in Lufthansa first class for 24 hours on the first trip. Slow it down a little bit. Don't hit that throttle, or else you're going to get yourself in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
That's your question.
What's the best advice to keep spouse calm in beginning besides going slow and steady? Again, Richard told me to stay away from the cliche answers, but I mean, have like a common goal. So if you both want to go to Hawaii for your 5-year anniversary, keep going back to that. This is our goal. We can either pay for it in cash. Let's plan out how we're going to do it, or we're going to have to go this route and pay for it with points. Like there's only really 2 ways to do it. So if you both have a common goal and your spouse is worried, then hey, like start planning, start saving for cash, and maybe you can get them on board to pay for it with points if he's going to do that.
Just a follow-up question. What's the best destination to get a reluctant spouse on board? Or what is a good destination?
To get a reluctant spouse on board?
Yeah. First place that they should try and go. If I came to you and you had no idea what we were talking about.
Gosh.
Hawaii. I mean,
I guess.
who doesn't get excited about a trip to Hawaii? That's what I would say.
Yeah, Hawaii or Paris. I don't know. Like,
yeah.
Who plans the trips between the two of you? Definitely Richard.
110%. Michael asked before that. Michael, actually good to see you guys. Some of the best in DC. He said, where are we going on our next few family trips?
Richard, kind of taking over the questions here.
Oh. Well, his already disappeared. I want to make sure we got
where we're going on family trips. We don't really know yet.
We're going to the Grand Cayman on November 4th. And then I booked the Galapagos last night. Atlanta to Grand Cayman. And then to Nassau. Grand Hyatt Baja Mar. You know this. We literally have a Google Calendar, and Emily doesn't know unless she checks the calendar.
Are you light packers with your little ones? Yes and no. We do have to do laundry sometimes. We lug lots of baby kid stuff. I would say, like an average, I just pack a diaper bag / purse, and we have a stroller, and then I usually pack like the kids stuff with mine. And
hey, Andre, good to see you. Yeah, I got a bunch on here that Tony's got. So, how many credit cards do you guys have open right now?
I don't know. We should really say, but I mean, enough. I mean,
we have over
like a personal question.
No, we have over 20 credit cards open right now, but credit utilization is 0 because we don't let the statement close with a balance, and then the credit score is completely fine. Is that for everybody? Absolutely not. And Emily's super Wambadon spreadsheet that she gets going is very important. But that's how we are. Actually, Emily closed her Bank of America Alaska card 2 nights ago. Don't need any more. Don't be scared of closing credit cards. Just know how to do it the right way. I have a video on the page of how to close a credit card the right way, so make sure you do that.
Do you ever find credit offers, flights, or tricks? No.
So the question was, Emily, do you ever find credit card offers, flights, or tricks that Richard didn't consider before?
Never. I literally don't.
No. How do you guys decide on who gets which cards now with the Chase rules? So the credit card decisions have always been my arena. And
I don't.
It depends on the goals, right? So, this year was ensuring we had enough Marriott points to get the Chase Companion or Southwest Companion Pass. But quite frankly, I'm really happy with the Chase cards that Emily and I have, and I have no intentions of closing or opening any new ones for the foreseeable future because I'm happy with all our Ultimate Rewards earning cards. We have 2 of the old Chase Ink cards with 5X on office supply stores. We have Chase Freedom Unlimiteds. And then we each have the ISG card that has the free annual night. So between all of those, I have no intention of really being worried about getting new Chase cards. So it's not really a factor in my decision when it's time to get a new card anymore. What do you got? Question? Next question. What is it?
I haven't seen any more.
Leslie says, can I be an account manager for every one of my spouse's cards? By account manager, I'm not sure what you mean.
Do you mean like can you log in and see what he's buying, or?
Yeah, so I would just use his login. Emily knows obviously knows all of our logins.
I don't
for all
really
the banks.
think like the banks, like they will tell you not to do that, but I mean that's what we do.
Yeah. If there's a reason that you need to call Emily, I just have Emily call a bank and I tell her exactly what to say. Or she tells me like, hey, you need to call this bank for some reason. So there's not really a reason that she needs
I
to
just
be.
use his login and
Yeah. She's an authorized user on many of my cards, so that pretty much allows you to have access to that. Any points you guys really like to hoard for special occasions? I hate burning my SPG points. So yeah, I hate SPG points. To me are airline miles. I don't use them. We're Hyatt people because of the family benefits. What are your favorite benefits about Hyatt that you like?
the globalist suite upgrades are really nice with little kids. You know, we can put them to bed and then we can be in the other room. I think that's probably my favorite Hyatt globalist benefit or the suite upgrades.
Yeah. I don't use SPG points at SPG properties. I transfer them to one of the 32 different partners, and then we stay at Hyatt because of, it's really easy to get Hyatt points with Chase Ultimate Rewards, and their free nights cost a low amount of points. Breakfast for us and the kids without having to leave the property. What do you like?
There's a question. If there are any snakes on a plane, who would you call, Richard?
Yeah. If you saw the post when we were moving last week and the snake was in the basement, I don't do snakes. It's just
I had to get the snake.
Yeah, I just don't do snakes. But Hyatt, great for families. Free breakfast. You don't have to leave the property, and everybody's so friendly to kids at these properties. It's not snooty at all. If you go to Hyatt's overseas, they love that we have kids, and they can't believe that Americans travel with kids because of the stereotype of Americans not leaving the States. Joe has a question for you, and I want to hear the answer to this. Hi, Richard and Emily. How do you feel, Emily, about Richard diving full-time into Award Travel 101?
Well, I know that this is, again, going to sound really cliche, but this has really been Richard's passion for, 4 years now? I mean, literally, in all of his free time when he's not hanging out with me or the kids or at, Navy work, this is what he's doing and this is what makes him happy. So, as much of an anxious person as I am, I'm trying to, just kind of be laid back, and I want him to be happy, and this is what makes him happy. So I can already tell, even since Thursday, when this has really been his full-time job, he's just been in so much happier in his work life. So it makes me really happy to see that. So I'm happy. I'm excited. We'll see how it plays out.
I think Emily was really tired of me coming home from work in the Navy every day, frustrated with the bureaucratic red tape and all the things that go into the Navy. The Navy was fantastic. I've said it a few times. They gave me a lot of experiences and things that can never be replicated, but it's just a very frustrating organization. I think for my personality and some of the things that you can't control being in the military. And it's still a possibility I'll be in the reserves and still continue that so that we can have benefits and things in the future. But
well, and then kind of, one of the reasons why we like to travel is because we like to experience things and we like to, try new things, and we want to enjoy our life. And by Richard leaving the military, closing that chapter of our lives and moving on to this as full time, we can start to really pursue, what adds value to our life. What do we want for our kids? What do we want for our family? And, by being happier, we're able to pursue that. And, then if he's happier, then that's going to make me happier. That's going to make me more on board with what he's doing. And, which is kind of what this whole talk tonight was about. How do you get your spouse on board with what's going on? And, communication and having common goals. And,
so I think me being happy makes Emily really happy, and that's why this is passion. So a couple more questions, and I have one that I'm going to end with Emily tonight. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Remember all the events we have going on in October. Chicago Seminars, CardCon and FinCon, November 3rd in New York City. Get your tickets now. Get your luggage tags. I want to see those out and about in the airlines and the hotels. So how are you going to renew your Southwest Companion Pass without opening any more Southwest credit cards? Our Companion Pass is good through the end of 2019. What is the landscape going to look like then? 2018. What's the landscape going to look like in 14 months? I don't know, but I'll start to worry about it this time next year. For now, I'm just going to enjoy it rather than adding more worry to lives. Hi, Richard and Emily. Have you, Emily, ever found yourself getting irritated by the talk about miles and points all the time? All the
Yes.
time.
Even sometimes,
No.
yes. Even sometimes I'm like, can we just enjoy this without having to talk about the next thing? Or like,
Yeah.
let's just relax a little bit on the calendar. Like, oh my gosh, like please.
So,
And Richard, we both love to travel. You know, this is great. But Richard is definitely more of like, I want to go, go, go. And I'm more like, okay, let's just stay home and not do a lot.
yeah. So I'll tell you this, any spouses or significant others watching tonight, if you come to one of our in-person meetups, I try and be very cognizant that you are there to support your spouse or significant other. So what I typically do is I'll say hello to the person that I know is in the group and I know wants to chat all points and miles all the time. But I'll shift my attention onto you and I'll say, hey, is your husband, is your wife taking care of you? Are they making sure that you benefit from this hobby? And I'll engage you about whatever you want to talk about. So don't be scared to come to one of our events. I'm well aware that you guys and gals get tired of talking about this all the time, and I'll cater to you, and I'll help you, talk about whatever you want to talk about because I know, when Emily comes to these meetups and people are asking me all the nerdy,
I'm
dorky
like,
questions, and I'm like, Emily doesn't care, so let's make this fun for everybody. And when she goes to bed, because she goes to bed at 8 o'clock, she's actually up really late tonight for doing this for
this
you
is really
guys.
late.
It's past her bedtime. Then we'll talk over the beers about the nerdy points and miles stuff. All right, one more question. I'm going to ask mine to Emily's, or to end the night. What could be more important to talk about than points and miles? Tony says he's working really hard. And then Michael reiterates what I said about authorized users not counting towards 524. All right, so here's my question to Emily to end the night. And
Okay.
thanks, Emily, for putting up with me and doing this full time with me in my busy travel schedule. And thank you, grandparents who are watching, for taking care of my children when I head off for a few days to pursue my passion and do all the neat and cool things that I'm going to do starting next week with South Africa and St. Helena. And then I'm flying back via Sao Paulo in South America. Really excited to share all that. And it looks like I'm going to be flying 15 hours in economy nonstop from JFK to Johannesburg.
That'll take the sting of me doing all these, diapers and cooking, a little bit.
That is a long time in economy. Oh well, it gets me there faster. All right, so what do I still do that annoys you the most right now when it comes to points and miles and travel?
Just this morning, I wake up and I check the credit cards because okay. I get up in the morning, I get my coffee, I go downstairs, I'm updating our finances. This is what I'm doing. 6 a.m. This is me, and I see some credit card. Don't even remember now. He had some very large purchase on it, and I'm like, why? Like, I just got everything updated yesterday. I asked him, what trips he had or what was going on. And here's something else that I don't know about, or I don't know what was going on. So I'm like, maybe did I forget? Like, what's going on? So I asked him, I'm sitting at breakfast with the kids, and I'm like, Richard, what is this? And then, he explains so that annoys me still that, he's up at like 1 a.m. Googling some flight, and then he books it, and then 6 a.m., 5 hours later, I haven't gotten wind of it yet. But, now he will give his side of the story.
So if you weren't up at 1 o'clock this morning, there was a mistake fare for British Airways first class from the UK to Ecuador, including the launching point for the Galapagos Islands. So it was £757, or just over $1,000, and American Express had the fares. So Emily just got her American Express Business Platinum card in May, which means she's still eligible for the next year to get the 50% pay with points rebate, which means I booked first class from London to Quito, Ecuador via Miami on the 747 for 50,000 Amex points round trip. 50,000 Amex points round trip, the UK to Ecuador, not business class, not economy, but first class, right? And when you pay with points, Amex puts it on your card as a pending charge, then it goes away until they do whatever they do. So Emily wakes up to this $1,000 charge on the card, and I'm like, no, look, at 1 o'clock this morning there was a mistake fare. You don't know, it's 50,000 points round trip in first class. Now we're going to go to the Galapagos Islands. Yeah. So I do that to her, but I can't go wake her up because then she'll be mad. And
It's like a challenge. You know,
but
what
here,
do I do?
so here's the thing with that. Anytime I do that, is I always make sure that the site that I'm using has the 24-hour cancellation policy. So
And there have actually been times where we've had, he's had this. Hey, this is my explanation. What's going on? And I'm like, this is not going to work because of X, Y, and Z. And he cancels it. I mean, it doesn't always go through. So yeah, I mean, sometimes it has to. It can't happen.
yeah, so make sure you get that 24-hour cancellation policy. But 50,000 points round trip. So I'm gonna position to London, fly seat 1A in the 747 first class British Airways down to Miami. The kids and I are gonna meet me in Miami. And this American Airlines flight from Miami to Ecuador had saver space available, which meant I could book it with Avio. So all of us are going to fly the 767 from Miami to Ecuador, spend a few days. We're going to go to the Galapagos Islands in May and come back, and then we'll fly back to the States. And it's what great material for Award Travel 101.
I know. This is why he did it. He was like, I know that tonight, the thing. Last thing, Emily, blink once if you think you should be allowed to have a girls' trip paid and points and miles. Yes. However, this weekend, tomorrow through Sunday, I'm going to see some of my friends all alone. No, it's not on points and miles. I'm not flying anywhere. But yeah, so I am getting to do that, and it's all thanks to Richard. He's gonna help with the kids, or not help with the kids. He's gonna that's his job too. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna get to go. So
I do play dad. Yes, I'm playing.
Yeah, he's a great dad.
Dad by myself Thursday and Friday. So if not in the group as much this week, it's because I'm watching the two kids while Emily.
Yeah, so I can go and I can do stuff too. So.
Hey, thanks everybody for watching. We went over time a little bit, but I think it was very entertaining.
Yeah, thanks.
Thanks to Emily for putting up with this and my beard now that I don't have to shave every day in the Navy. A lot of fun. Same time, same place next week. Remember, tomorrow we have Where to Go Wednesday. Thursday, Bourbon and Q&A, where you can ask me any question. And myself and the moderators will answer in real time. Tony's in the background working hard, talking to me on the moderator document. Thanks, Tony, and all the moderators to make this happen. And I don't know when Emily's going to be back again, but she's always in the background. The women folk always watch. They know exactly what's going on.
And if you have any special requests for another live show, then
what website do you follow to find these mistake fares? Those showed up on Twitter. I follow a bunch of Twitter people, secret flying, all the boarding area guys, and find those fares. All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you next time. It's been fun. See ya.